Hello and bonjour. It is November 2021 and I'm on Line B, heading out of Paris for a mini adventure, because hidden in the forest southwest of the city is an old abandoned railway, and as you know, that's basically Tim Catnip. But this is not just any old abandoned railway. After it closed in the 1950s, it went on to have an extraordinary second life, and I have 3 words for you: experimental rocket trains. I mean, you all knew that France tested rocket-powered hover trains on a disused railway in the 1960s, right? Right? Well, today we're uncovering the story of the, wait for it, Paris to Chartres via Gallardon line. And to do that, we're getting off way out in Zone 5 at a quiet little suburban station called La Aquinière. So this is where our adventure starts today, and coincidentally, this is the least used station on Line B. I'm half expecting Jeff Marshall to pop up and tell us about station usage stats and dot matrix indicators.
But of course, we're not here to see any of that.
No, we're here to see a disused rail...
Bonjour.
What? So Jeff, what are you doing in Paris?
Finally, after many months, weeks, years of planning, we actually met up in Paris. So after you rather cheekily did least used station in France,
Yeah, sorry about that.
we're here all weekend. We're doing least used metro tomorrow, and we're doing sort of least used RER combined with, well, I don't know, whatever you've got planned for me.
We're going on an
An
adventure.
adventure, a
Yeah.
Tim travelling adventure. I'm so excited.
So here's the plan that I haven't told Jeff about. For a few hundred metres right here, the old line runs parallel-ish to the RERB route that we've just come down on from Paris, which means Jeff and I have only got a short walk up the road and through the woods in order to find it. From there, we're going to hike along the path of the old railway until we get to a small town called Gometz, which in the 1960s was the birthplace of the legendary Aerotrain. But more about that later, because first there's something more important we need to do. We've got off the train. The first thing you've done is said, can we go and get a tea
Well,
from a boulangerie-pâtisserie?
I've had a coffee this morning, but I need to know if they sell. I know und.
2 coffees.
I know und. I've had 2 coffees. I don't want to say can I have. I need to know how to say do you sell tea?
Or just say vous avez. Do you have?
Vous avez.
Vous avez du thé?
I'm on it.
Gometz is what we're aiming for. We're walking to Gometz. We just need to find our way into the forest.
Like what does she do when she wants a cup of tea?
I don't know. Probably goes next door to the bar, I guess.
Yeah. Okay.
I reckon we go up here, Jeff. It's kind of a long, flat, straight path.
Is this an old railway?
He's onto it already, you know.
I am on. Is that where you brought me to? Is it? Are we on an old abandoned line?
We might just be doing a disused railway.
Yes.
Happy?
I'll be happy once I've had a tea.
So why was this railway built in the first place? Well, it's a classic story of 2 rival companies and some stupid decisions. The West Railway had already built a line from Paris to Chartres via Versailles, which still exists today and continues on to Brittany and the rest of western France. Meanwhile, the State Railway, owned by the government, had a line coming into Chartres from the west, but no connection from there to Paris. So passengers on state trains needed to switch onto the private company to continue their journeys. Not a big deal for most people, but for government ministers, particularly those from Western France who had to use the route, the message it sent out was all wrong. They thought state-owned trains should run on state-owned tracks the whole way into the capital. And in 1907, after years of bickering about the exact route, and despite having absolutely no economic argument for it, the project went ahead. Which sounds daft enough, but 2 years later, the State Railway bought the West Railway, and the project still went ahead. Why? I don't know. If any of you were part of French government decision-making in 1909, please do let us know in the comments.
It's the bridge. Well, hang on. Is that? So this was the railway bridge,
Yeah.
and that's just a road. Or
I mean, yeah, it's just a track, isn't it?
This is deadly. Look, I can stand. There's nothing just stopping me falling off here.
Yeah, they don't really have health and safety in France.
Is that not a thing?
Not quite so much. Construction started at the Chartres end of the route, and the double-track main line had got as far as Gallardon, about a quarter of the way into Paris, when the First World War broke out. And by the end of the war, France was so short of steel that the government decided to rip out one of the two tracks. But the project still continued. It was just downgraded to a single line.
Beautiful. No, where's my tea? What's that?
From then on, though, progress was slow, with the tracks reaching the town of Limours in 1922 and finally reaching the edge of the Paris suburbs in 1930 at Massy, a major railway junction where there was a connection with another rival company. By now, they were only a few kilometres short of Paris, and they ran a few trains along the nearly completed line. But then two things happened. First, the government nationalised the railways, which removed once and for all the reason for building the route in the first place, and then the Second World War broke out. Germany occupied France, they started using the line for military convoys, that led to the Allies bombing 3 of the viaducts, and that was that. In the end, after the war, it just wasn't worth repairing it, and the railway was officially closed in 1953. But luckily, a large chunk of it has now been converted to a cycle path, and you can come here and see what might have been.
There's a thing coming up.
There is a thing.
Tim, is the drone coming out?
The drone might be coming out.
It's the drone moment coming up. I can sense my drone spidey sense suddenly went off.
Your train radar.
Nice on a clear summer day.
Yes.
Slightly misty on an autumnal November day, but all the same.
This is the Viaduc des Fauvettes, one of the viaducts that got bombed during the war, but it has since been beautifully restored, mostly thanks to the local rock climbing community.
Where'd he go?
He's gone.
You could pay me a lot of money, and I would never do that.
Not your thing?
Not really not my thing.
Why not? Bravo.
How do you say? How do you feel?
Comment je me sens?
Oui.
C'est bon?
C'est pas mal, ouais. C'est beau. Et après, c'était la première fois, donc j'étais vachement concentré sur le gainé.
Oui.
J'ai pas encore observé.
Ah oui, t'as pas regardé le vue du tout.
Ouais.
Bah ce sera pour la prochaine fois.
Ouais, je vais descendre une deuxième fois. Là. Les copains, ils sont pas encore arrivés, donc.
Ah bah, autant en profiter.
C'est ça.
Tim,
Yep,
got a question.
yep.
Où sont le jardin patager?
With Jeff now approaching 3 hours without tea, the situation was clearly becoming critical. But fortunately, it wasn't much further before we hit the outskirts of Gometz. And if you squint, you can still just about imagine the old steam trains coming through here. But no one in Gometz could have imagined what was about to happen next. A few years after the line closed, an aviation engineer called Jean Bertin got some of his engineer mates together and founded a company who were going to revolutionise transport. And I'm not an engineer, but as far as I understand it, the plan was, let's take an aeroplane, a racing car, a train and a hovercraft, mix them together and see what happens. And what they came up with was the Aerotrain. The straight lines and gentle curves of the abandoned railway were the perfect place for Bertin to test his experimental high-speed hover train. As you can see in these images, Aerotrain number 1 had no wheels and glided along a T-shaped concrete test track powered by an aircraft propeller. It was arguably less of a train and more of a rail-guided aeroplane hovercraft thing. Whatever it was, initial tests proved that it could run safely at speeds of up to 200 kilometers an hour. And next, they wanted to test it at even higher speeds, but unfortunately, the 7-kilometre track between Gometz and Limours wasn't long enough for it to go any faster if it was going to stop before it got to the other end. So what do you do if your hover train test track is too short? That's right, you put a rocket on the train. This improved acceleration quite significantly, and on the 4th of December 1967, the temporarily rocket-powered Aerotrain broke the world speed record for a railway vehicle at 345 kilometers an hour. And the track it did it on is still here.
Oh wow! Okay, that is cool.
It's only a little segment of it. That's pretty much how it worked. You just need to make a cushion of air, and then you go faster.
You have to remember, these are the days before the TGV, and anything that went this much faster than a normal train was taken very seriously, because at the time it genuinely could have been the future. And going faster is exactly what this thing did. This is Lady Penelope's car from Thunderbird. Sorry, this is Aerotrain number 2. Bertin's main design criteria for Aerotrain number 2 were that A, it should go even faster, and B, yep, that's pretty much it. It was fitted with a jet engine and could achieve speeds of up to 300 kilometers an hour in regular testing. But as we all know, you haven't really tested an aerotrain until you've put a rocket on it. So they did, and in January 1969, they broke the world speed record again, this time reaching 422 kilometers an hour. Of course, I should say it was just a test. They were never going to use a rocket in everyday service. Apparently it's quite bad for the environment, and the neighbours were starting to complain about the noise. But what they'd done was prove that on a full-length track, where the vehicle could get up to that speed without needing a rocket, the Aerotrain would be able to transport passengers safely and smoothly at speeds far beyond a conventional railway.
Are you doing that thing when you're filming again? I don't realise.
Yep.
That's a thing. That's a model.
That is a sculpture. It's a sort of stylized sculpture of it. It's not the real thing.
Where's the track?
Just beyond.
Yes, if you thought that little piece of track stuck inside a roundabout was all that was left, well, there's a bit more. And you can find it right here.
This is what we came all the way to see.
I feel like I'm doing a Tim Traveller thumbnail. I'm like, look.
And this is it, stretching away into the distance, the original Aerotrain test track. You can actually follow it all the way from here to Limours, but I think it might be time to get Jeff a tea. Now, if you've been to France in the last 50 years, you may have noticed that it is not full of aerotrains speeding around carrying French people from city to city. But that doesn't mean these tests were a failure. The Gometz tests were a success, and the only reason they abandoned this test track was so that they could go about an hour south of here and build a bigger one, a longer one, a better one. But that will be a story for a whole other video.
So, Jeff,
Tim.
how was your day?
Lacking in tea?
It was an absolute pleasure having you along.
Thank you, that was a lot of fun.
Thank you for letting me bring you into this random field in the middle of France, sit on a piece of concrete. We will have another video on Jeff's channel where we'll be visiting. What are we doing on your channel?
Least used metro station.
Yes, if you'd like to see more Jeff and me action, then Jeff's video is out now over on his channel.
It's Tim, the Bakerloo line of the Paris Metro.
There'll be a link on screen in a moment and in the description below, so do check it out and subscribe to Jeff for more excellent railway shenanigans. And until next time,
Au revoir.
thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.